Welcome to Creativity Cooks. Today you are making a Baby Yoda Rice Krispie face. To make this recipe, you will need the following ingredients: 5 cups of Rice Krispies, 5.5 cups of mini marshmallows, 2 to 4 tablespoons of butter, and 1 teaspoon of green food coloring. You will also need a circular baking pan. Before we begin, if you have 4 tablespoons of butter in your meal kit, please ask a parent or guardian for help or use a knife and separate this butter into 2 tablespoons. You can see the tablespoon markers on the butter. You would need to find 2 tablespoons in and just cut it in half. Next, in a microwave safe bowl, add 5.5 cups of marshmallows and 2 tablespoons of butter to the microwave safe bowl and microwave on high for about 90 seconds. Once your marshmallows are melted, carefully remove them from the microwave and use a mixing spoon to mix. At this point, you can also begin to add some food coloring to your marshmallows. So add about a half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of green food coloring and blend this mixture together very, very well. You will notice at the bottom of your marshmallow mixture, it's going to seem a little bit wet. Do not worry about that. That is the melting of the butter that just settled on the bottom because it's a little bit heavier than the marshmallows. If you want to add a little bit of green food coloring or a lot of food coloring, you can definitely add as much or as little as you like. The more food coloring you add, the darker your Rice Krispies will be, and the less food coloring is, the lighter it will be. So once you've decided on the shade of your Baby Yoda, just blend it together and just keep mixing until it's one smooth mixture. Now that your marshmallows are all mixed up, it is time to add your Rice Krispies to this mixture as well. It's going to be a really, really tricky mix because the marshmallows, as it cools down, it's going to get a little bit harder and it's going to be really sticky. Just use a mixing spoon and keep working through the Rice Krispies. Some of it's going to be stuck along the side of your bowl. It's going to be sticking to your mixing spoon. It's going to be a little really, really sticky. So if you find for any reason that it's too sticky, you have a little bit of extra butter left over. You can use a small amount, like 1 teaspoon of it or so, but you might just have to really get in here, use a really strong mixing spoon, and just mix this together until all of your Rice Krispies is pretty much covered with the green marshmallows, turning it into a green color. This is looking really good. Okay, so please use about a 1 cup measuring cup and remove about a cup out of this green mixture. We are going to set this aside so we can use it to make some ears. And once you have the circular baking pan that you're going to be using for this recipe, you can use a little bit of butter or you can use basting spray, but you are going to coat the bottom, the sides, and the corners of this circular baking pan. I'm going to just use a piece of paper towel so I can evenly distribute my baking spray. We want to put basting spray or butter on this pan so that we can remove the Rice Krispies out of here very easily when we are ready to do so. And once your pan is basted, we are going to go ahead now and pour the Rice Krispies from your main bowl into this baking pan. This is going to be really hard, and I'm not going to really slow down my recording so you can see how difficult this really is. It's sticky. It wants to stick in the bowl. It's sticking to your spoon. It's sticking to everything. It's falling all over the place. So don't worry so much if this happens to you. It might get your counter just a little bit dirty. You can just go ahead and pick them up and just put them into your bowl. And if there's anything remaining in your bowl, I just put my bowl down for a minute on the side and just use my mixing spoon to make it into like a bigger ball before I'm going to go ahead and just pour more of this into my bowl. The goal is to get as many Rice Krispies as you can out of your mixing bowl and into your baking pan. The more you have in here, the bigger of a face you will have, and the more firm of a face you will have as well, because we will have to compress all of these Rice Krispies into our baking pan. And here's a tip, since we're going to be using your hands, use a little bit of butter and put them on your fingers or your palms of your hands, whatever you're going to be using to touch these Rice Krispies. These Rice Krispies are going to want to stick to you because of the marshmallows. Just add some butter to your hand and it will help to prevent that sticking. And I am just using my hands and I'm just pushing and compressing these Rice Krispies into this pan as much as possible. The more you compress them, the more that shape will stay together when you do remove it, when you're finished with this recipe. So you want to kind of just use your hands and press it in. Or if you have a spatula or a mixing spoon, you can use that as well. You just want to go ahead and compress all of this in here as much as possible, just like I am doing with my circular face. And this is going to take you a few minutes to do so. This is not a quick and easy process. I am not slowing down my video. I'm showing you this compression time in real time so that you guys can really take the extra time to really compress this into this pan and make your base as firm as possible. You also want to get the sides really well. Sometimes once you compress one side, the other side lifts up. You want to just work your way all around this pan and just keep pressing those Rice Krispies down. You might also start hearing them snapping and crackling and popping at this point. That is what Rice Krispies do. Don't worry, you are not losing any of the flavor from doing this step, but what you're getting out of it is a nice, firm face for your baby Yoda. So remember that little cup that we set aside for the ears? We need to work with it right now. So we are going to start by putting a little bit of butter on our fingers. And if you had this into a measuring cup, you're going to just really try to pry it out of there because it wants to stick to it. It's pretty sticky. Another one of my students said that she actually compressed this into the mixing cup and it was a little bit easier. However, it works for you. We just need to be able to form the rest of this Rice Krispies together because our baby Yoda face needs some ears, and this is how we're going to do it. So I put some butter on my hands. I need to get a little bit more because this is just really sticky. The butter will help to prevent the stickiness. So all of you should have a little bit of extra butter and or a little bit of extra shortening in your meal kits. And what you want to do is once you're compressing this, we want to separate them into two separate balls. And then we're just going to use our hands to shape them into ears. There's no defined pattern. There's no specific way the ears can look. If your baby Yoda wants to have thin ears or skinny ears or floppy ears, however you can do it. But we basically want to separate these balls and use our hands to compress it as much as possible into some little ears that we're going to place on our face once we're finished. So this is my first one, and I'm going to go ahead and do one more to make a second one. And with my second ear, again, I don't have a defined pattern that I'm using to make this ear. I'm just playing around with it and having fun. And sometimes cooking is all about having some fun with it. I'm going to try to make it look as close as possible to my other ear. If there's any bits of Rice Krispies that fell, I'm going to just try to shape them both so they look like a matching pair of ears. And now I'm all finished. I have my face and I have my ears. I'm going to let this sit aside for about 30 minutes, or you can also put it in the refrigerator. But let's go ahead and start making the fondant, and we will get back to our Rice Krispies. So to make the fondant, we will need 1.5 cups of mini marshmallows, 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, a tablespoon of water, 2 tablespoons of shortening, and 1 teaspoon of red and black food coloring. To make this fondant, we are going to add 1.5 cups of mini marshmallows to a microwave safe bowl and about 2 tablespoons of shortening. We're going to put that in the microwave for about 60 seconds, and once it's finished, we are going to carefully remove it and add a tablespoon of water to this mixture, and we are going to use our mixing spoon to mix it together very, very well. The reason why we add the water to this is just to help to make this mixture just a little bit, it helps to break it up a little bit once we add the powdered sugar. We want this consistency of the fondant to be a little bit different from if we were making an icing sugar or frosting with confectioner's sugar. So the water helps to add that little bit of extra weight to it to make it a little bit stronger of a mixture. So once we've mixed that together, we are also now going to add 1.5 cups of powdered sugar to this mixture. Once you've added the powdered sugar, it's going to be a really, really heavy mix. It's going to be pretty hard. It's kind of dry out a little bit. You might even be able to use your hands with some of you, depending on how much powdered sugar you put in and how much butter you put in, or I mean, sorry, how much shortening you put in. But as you're mixing it at this point, just keep on mixing. The powdered sugar will start getting stuck to the sides of this bowl. You're going to just try to mix it up as much as you can to get it all into the mixture. And sometimes you also hear us referring to powdered sugar as confectioner's sugar. The correct name for it is confectioner's sugar. Powdered sugar is more like a slang name for it. But if you hear it being used in different text, just so you guys know that powdered sugar and confectioner's sugar are the same thing. So as I am mixing my mixture, it's getting a little bit hard for me to mix because my mixing spoon and my hands and everything, we're just getting a little tired, but we're going to keep on working with this. Um, if you want to use your hands at this point, you can do that. Some of you might have some extra shortening in your kit. Some of you will have some extra butter. You can put a little bit of extra shortening or butter on your fingers if you want to get your hands in here and start working with this mixture by hand. Some people describe this fondant as edible slime. That's exactly what it is. It has the consistency of slime, but it's all natural and food ingredients that you actually can eat. So we are going to definitely have a lot of this left over if you guys want to use it to make fondant balls or anything like that. But the amount that you're mixing, you will not use all of it for your recipe. So if you want to do something extra with it and have some fun with this, it'll be really awesome to see what you guys make out of it as well. So I added some butter to my hands to help prevent the stickiness of this fondant. And now I'm going to separate my fondant into 3 separate balls. The first ball is going to be pink, the second is going to be black, and the third, which is going to be pretty small, it's just going to be used for the iris of my eye. As you're basically working with this, what you're going to do is you're going to add a little bit of food coloring to each ball and just mix it up so that that ball, except for ball number 3, changes from the white to the specific color that you are working with. And once you've gone ahead and mixed the food coloring in all of your 3 different balls, you are going to work with them to shape it like eyes, to add them to your ears, and just if you want to add a mouth and a nose to your baby Yoda face, you can definitely do that. I'm just showing you guys how I'm just mixing this up. I actually changed the color of my food coloring. This is me trying to make a black food coloring out of red, blue, and green. Sometimes I just want to show you guys, if you don't have all the tools you need, or if you want to play with different colors, like just because I said red or pink or brown, it does not necessarily mean those are the colors that you guys have to choose for something. If you want to think outside the box and do something totally different, you can. And sometimes cooking is also for experimenting. I'm trying to make a black, but I didn't want to go full black, so I'm just adding my different colors to this and mixing it up. And this is what I'm going to use for the eyes of my baby Yoda face. You'll also notice that depending on how much shortening you put into this and how much powdered sugar you put into this, I'm using a spoon to work with my fondant because it was really moist. I don't think I put as many marshmallows into my melting mixture as possible. Some of you might even have fondant that you can hold with your hands and roll it into a little ball. If you're able to get that consistency, I am so excited to see what you've made out of it and how you've decorated your face with it, all of it. So uh, in this step here, I'm just carefully removing my face from my circular face from the bowl. I'm going to show you here. I try to turn it over and it's just sticking to the pan. And if any of you tried to do that and the same thing is happening to you, I just used a spatula and just kind of worked around the edges of my face. And that loosened it up a little bit so that I was able to get it out of this circular pan. It's not stuck to it. It's just sometimes little parts might get stuck here and there and it's not coming out. But now I'm able to easily lift it out of the pan that it was in. And now what I'm doing with my face is I'm going to just stick my ears on first because I just want to see what the whole thing is going to look like. I want to see how this is coming together. I want to see how, where the ears are going to go, if I should put them higher, if I should put them lower. Again, this month is all about the challenge, and as much as I am showing you guys what to do, I really cannot wait to see what you guys are making and how you are able to twist this and make this into your own. So I'm using a little bit of my pink fondant. Some of you had a light brown fondant that you used for the ears instead. Some of you we packed with an orange. We're just using different colors for these parts of the ears. So definitely whatever color you want to use, I'm just adding them to my ear as as a decoration. With my fondant, I'm going to just kind of reshape it, use my fingers, use my spoon, and I am just playing with it at this point. It's kind of for me like a canvas, and I'm just going to use my food and just paint on my ears and my eyes and my nose because that is what cooking is all about. Cooking is about having fun. It's about creating things. It's about thinking outside the box. And, although this is the Baby Yoda face, I mean, some of you might see the eyes being much bigger. Some of you might see the eyes being smaller. However, you want to do it, I am, like I said, more interested right now in seeing what you guys have made as opposed to you seeing what I've made. At this point, your recipe should pretty much be finished. It's just about decorating it and putting in these extra elements that will just complete the look of your face. Remember, if you want to touch fondant or touch your Rice Krispies or anything like that, and you find that it's too sticky for your hands and it's sticking to it, just add a little bit of butter or a little bit of shortening to your hands and to your fingers, and you will be able to almost finger paint with these foods, and it will not be sticking to your hands, and it's still something that you can eat. So I just added my eyes to this. I have a lot of extra fondant. I might just add a nose and possibly a mouth to this. Baby Yoda, as much as he's a baby, he still has wrinkles. So if you want to add some wrinkles in your the top part of the head, you can do that. This is my ball number 3, the ball that I left that was still white. I'm just adding it into my eyes as part of my decoration. But like I said, this one is all about you guys, and I want you to have so much fun while you're making this. If anything goes wrong, I heard last week a couple of kids had some trouble with their recipes. do not worry if something goes wrong. This is all in good fun. And even if it breaks apart, you can still eat it because it's still really tasty, even if it doesn't look like a baby Yoda 100%. So, thank you guys all so much for cooking with us. Please do not forget to send us your photos. You can email them to sdaniel@creativityshell.org or mhatchie@creativityshell.org. We definitely want to see what you guys are making, and we are just so happy that you guys are cooking with us, and we hope that you enjoy this class. Thank you so much.